imagine a garden, a very small garden made using locally available resources right in the comfort of your home. How does this garden improve nutrition outcomes?
The idea seems so obvious, right? If you can produce food at the homestead, it will be very easy to integrate that into people's daily diet. So FNSP also worked on gardens from the very beginning. But then the approach we first took was the usual conventional flat bed gardens, the ones that everyone knows.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, whenever I went to the village and I saw these gardens, they looked sad. They looked disappointing. And I had always questions like, how will these few leaves growing there sadly actually feed a family? So I'm very happy that we finally turned things around by saying, maybe the approach we've been trying didn't work, but let's try something new. And we came out with an innovative approach. And in this episode, we'll be talking about that. And I'm proud to have tried something new.
Oh, well, keep listening, because today we want to discuss how these gardens transform from being sad little gardens to gardens that are actually happy and transforming nutrition outcomes at household level. Keep listening, and over to you. Today I'm joined in the podcast by Chawezi Piri and Witness Dupu. These are junior district coordinators under the Food and Nutrition Security Program working with GIZ. I'm also joined by Mr. Dean Kampota. He's a field advisor under FNSP with Care Malawi. Welcome to the podcast, guys, and it's an honor to have you in the conversation today.
Thank you.
Now, I want to start with asking, what are backyard gardens?
All right, so talking about backyard gardens, basically, these are gardens that are constructed within the homestead. So you can either have them on the ground, or you can either have them in buckets or in sacks, so long as they are within your homestead. So these can either be vegetable gardens, or you can also incorporate fruits.
As long as they are within your homestead?
Yes.
It's a backyard garden?
Yes.
So why did FNSP feel like it was necessary to incorporate backyard gardens in its program?
Since FNSP promotes dietary diversity among pregnant and lactating women that have children less than 2 years old, they thought of bringing in a component of vegetables to ensure that the households are diversifying their diets. So there was that lack in the diversity of the women. They were consuming the other food groups, but then the aspect of vegetables was missing. That's why they brought in the aspect of vegetables to ensure that the households are also diversifying their diets by consuming the vegetables.
Speaking of dietary diversity, I did have a conversation on the previous episode where we were talking about livestock production. So They were talking about animal sourced protein. So now you're talking about the other aspect of dietary diversity. Yes. I want to understand, what role do these vegetables that we're discussing today have or play in the nutrition ecosystem of women of reproductive age and children under 2 years old?
So these vegetables contain vitamin A.
Okay.
They contain minerals, which are essential for the growth of the mother as well as the growth of the child who that mother is expecting. Even the under 2 child, which Jawez has just mentioned, that child really needs vegetables and these minerals for their development. And
that's interesting. So were there specific types of vegetables that you were promoting, or was it just like, just grow vegetables in your backyard?
These essential nutrients are mainly found in the local vegetables. So as a project, we've been promoting those
local
kind of
vegetables.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm thinking about beyond the nutritional component, but I also think they're easier to grow financially.
Yes.
And for people who are in the community, it should be a lot easier, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
I do understand that you've been promoting like backyard gardens, but I also do know that people have been having traditional gardens in their communities. How different are these innovative gardens you're promoting from the backyard gardens that, people usually do?
It started from when we conducted our annual assessments and monitorings, our usual monitorings. So through those assessments, we learned that households are not adopting the backyard gardens as we've been promoting. It's either they entirely don't have a garden or they buy from the vendors the vegetables.
While you were promoting
the backyard gardens. So as a project, we did a reflection, like what's happening, what are we doing wrong? And then we conducted another assessment to find out what approach would they prefer in regards to production of vegetables around the homesteads. So through this assessment, through this exercise, we learned that there are innovations like sack gardens, bottles, tires, and all this. It's not like there were technologies that we brought into the communities. These were already within the communities, but then they looked at us as, okay, FNSP is promoting backyard gardens, and these are the gardens that are on the ground. So after this exercise, we then did a learning event, a learning series, in which we were now trained by the Ministry of Agriculture and horticulture specialists on how to grow vegetables in sacks, in bottles, and all these innovative methods.
Oh, wow.
So that's where this all began.
Okay, so it's like initially you had just backyard gardens.
Yes.
And then from the realization, or rather monitoring feedback, you realized we need to do something different. And then you had to do the needs assessment. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. I mean, it's interesting how FNSP always learns from its work to say, I think we need to improve, we need to do better, we need to do different. Because I think from what you're saying, the impact that I saw when I visited Dedza and Salima could not have been realized. There was so much difference. I think from what you're saying and from the previous situation.
And maybe just to add on the exercise that was done, you'd actually see that the people in the communities had the knowledge on the sacks that indeed you can grow vegetables in the sack, but then they lacked the technicality of saying, how can I actually grow the vegetables in a sack?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was the gap that was lacking.
So it's an innovation that they already knew exists, which is even better for localization, right? You won't have to struggle because it's not like you're importing this from elsewhere.
Yes.
I do remember that there are specific materials that these gardens are supposed to have. What are some of them? Maybe things that maybe he might have missed, or anything to add?
Yeah, just to add on the materials that Dean already said, instead of maybe having a pipe, something that we know that it's not so common to find in the communities. So we usually tell the communities to find other things that they can improvise. So they can either use the banana trunks to make something that looks like a pipe and then use it instead of a pipe.
Oh, a banana trunk?
Yes, actually it works in the communities.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Or the small banana trunks?
Yeah.
Not the big one.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I think sometimes, the FNSP, the Over to You podcast has taught me so much about how much we have, even with little resources.
Yes.
We just don't realize it's that vibrant or it's that important that we can actually benefit from the whole thing. Wow.
And it's an issue of being creative, honestly.
Yeah,
we have
true.
sacks which are not new. These are reusable sacks. I mean, the recycled sacks.
Yeah.
And then now speaking of the banana trunk.
Banana trunk, yes. Like even when we were having, was that durable latrines? They were telling us about using bamboos for people who can't. It's innovation that are around us, I think, that we need to be promoting in the communities we work with. Because sometimes things, fail to go further because people don't know where to find this when it goes off next.
Yeah.
Like the meadow is expensive, where do I go? I mean, maybe somebody has a grass-thatched house. They don't even have a single idea where to find a meadow.
Yes.
They'll be like, where will I find that when this is done? And that's how everything just stops, just like that.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really interesting. So maybe I should now go to the partnership, because I do understand the GIZ in its own doesn't implement alone. It usually partners with some local organizations or maybe other political partners. Who did you partner with on this backyard garden initiative?
So at the district level, we partner with the government, and we also have implementing partners. We have Self-Help Africa in Dedza, and we have Care Malawi in Salima.
So I understand, Dean, you are one of the implementing partners.
Yes.
So now I'm going to direct the next question to you.
Please do so.
Yeah. How did you identify beneficiaries that you're working with? And also, who did you partner with?
We partnered with the local farmers, or so-called lead farmers, who are the champions in facilitating agricultural things in communities.
Okay.
Yeah, and also we partnered with care groups So in care groups, we have cluster leaders that facilitate or cascade the information to do with nutrition, sanitation, and what have you. So an element of site gardening, in this case innovative or conventional ones, is also incorporated. Generally, we've also reached some people outside care groups, outside the follower farmers. We've had video education.
Okay.
We have shot several videos
to
do with sanitation, agriculture, gender. So what normally is being done is we mobilize the communities in different GVHs, and we have the facilitators for those video sessions. So whatever is being done surrounding the backyard gardening, innovative or conventional ones, is being shown at the screen, and people adopt those practices. Also, we have exchange learning visits.
Okay.
Yeah, exchange learning visits. This is whereby we identify a certain GVH or a certain group of people that are adamant to adopt the practices. And we get another social group that are doing better in those interventions, and we take this group to the next group and exchange the highlights to do with the backyard gardens, innovative and conventional ones.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And lastly, we also have open days.
Okay.
Yeah, open days. These are the platforms that we showcase each and everything that we do as a project. Yeah, so for the innovative gardens, as earlier on I said, these are movable gardens. So we take them, we fetch them to the sea.
open day. Oh, interesting.
Showcase to the public.
Wow.
And the lead farmer will explain how this goes about.
So how often do you do these open days? At district or at community level?
Normally at community level, and at community level we mean at TA level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in the past we have done, I think, 6, if I'm not mistaken. We are working in 3 TAs, TA Ndindi, TA Pemba, and TA Maganga. Okay. So we have had 2 in each TA.
I want to take you back. You mentioned an issue of your target being pregnant women and lactating mothers. And you did mention that the care group is the space where you get these people. I want to find out, do you only get people in the care group or pregnant and lactating mothers in the communities that you're working with, like any pregnant and lactating mom?
No, the right platform according to the government of Malawi is through the care group model.
Okay.
Yeah, that is where we get the pregnant women, lactating, and those that are keeping children not more than 2 years. So keep in mind that these women, there is also a time that they graduate from the programs, depending on the criteria.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
I'm looking at the fact that you do work with these structures, as you mentioned, Dean. They've been growing gardens for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. What makes this initiative unique from the way they've been doing everything before, number one? Number two, how did the community perceive the intervention when you came with it to them?
Thank you so much. Innovative gardens in the first place, they are cheap to construct. Doesn't take so much time. It's just a matter of organizing the materials like sacks, the pipe, some stones, and virgin soil and some animal droppings. You mix all these things and you come up with something that you can plant. You can plant something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's cheap. It's something that is movable, especially in our district. This summer we have harsh weather conditions. You can shift from one place to the other for the health growth of the crops. Yeah, so unlike the conventional or traditional gardens, which are grounded on the ground, so to speak. So it's important to embrace these types of innovative gardens.
Okay.
And imagine you are relocating, say, to Dates or Balak or somewhere else. You can easily carry your bucket with vegetables or your sack. You go with it.
Oh, it's actually fancy when you think about it, because you'll be like, oh, it's more like a flower pot. You just pick it and you travel with it. I also do remember we had a conversation with It was Mrs. Emily Pindani in Salima. She was one of the farmers who are actually implementing the backyard garden. And the exciting thing about her was she was lactating at the time that she was approached first. And now she's expecting another child. She's still at it. And a very vibrant garden. I mean, this is the conversation we had with her.
My name is Emile Pindani. I live in Kandeu village, Tiendindi in Salima district. I was breastfeeding the time Care trained us, and now that I'm pregnant, I'm using the same skills that I obtained during those trainings in order for me and my unborn child to be healthy. Care trained us in vertical gardening, where we grow vegetables in sacks. I am grateful for this type of farming because it is very productive compared to traditional gardens. They keep moisture, while in the gardens the water evaporates easily when the sun hits. In the sack bags, we use little water and retain moisture with the stones that we put in between the planting stations, as Care trained us. This type of growing vegetables in sack bags is good because when you are relocating, you carry them and continue farming wherever you are going. The vegetables we are growing are also very healthy. In the past, when we spray chemicals in our garden, we were failing to eat the vegetables until the chemicals dissolve. But now Care trained us to do organic pest control using neem leaves and natural ways. We no longer wait for chemicals to dissolve before harvesting vegetables. Growing vegetables this way doesn't require huge space. You can put the sack bags in front of your house as decorating flowers. So when Care trained us, I told my husband that we should try what Care taught us. In the past, we were struggling to have a well-balanced diet. Especially in 2016, we were relying on buying meat at the market. We didn't want to do animal farming, but sometimes we could find that there is no meat at the market, and this was affecting our diet. Now we started livestock farming. We are living a happy life. We choose to slaughter chicken anytime we want meat. We eat eggs anytime we want, and not forgetting vegetables and legumes that we grow. We are so grateful to Care for their fruitful trainings. Care has given us good trainings with important topics. We don't need to be trained every year. We are using the same information they trained us once.
So basically, she was talking about the things we're talking about to say, these gardens are really nice because I could easily move it here to somewhere in case there's too much sun. And she was also talking about how, for me, she also mentioned something which I found to be really interesting. She said they don't need too much water.
Yes.
Because it's in the sacks can hold water. And she doesn't have to be worried about, when you put it on the soil, on the ground, if the place is too dry, the water just gets swallowed on every other place. So that was also something which I found to be a little bit good compared to the traditional on the innovative side. But also now, let's assume somebody doesn't have the garden. They would want to establish a garden. What should they have to have it?
You mean the innovative one?
Yes, the innovative. Because Chawezi gave us a whole outlook of the backyard garden.
Yeah.
Now we want to have an innovative garden in our compound.
Okay.
What materials should a person have?
Firstly, someone should have a sack. And this sack is maybe odd. They should not bother themselves going to the market and purchase new sacks.
Okay.
We are promoting to embrace the old sacks. So a sack, virgin soil, we have animal droppings. Of course, there are measurements on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. And we have some stones and a pipe. So it's either you use a pipe or just a stick, but a thick one. So you mobilize these things, you mix the animal droppings and the virgin soil together, and then you put these things in a sack. And at the middle of the sack is where you place the stones through a pipe.
Why in the middle?
In the middle because...
and why the stones?
Okay, in the first place, the stones acts as a center of the whole sack. It's a center. Stones will also scatter the water that is being put on the place. So they will divide it to all parts within
wow.
within the
That's such
within the sack.
science.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why we call it innovative.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we come up with the innovative gardens.
And I'm sure you've heard that they use less water.
Yes,
It's
yes,
because
yes.
of the stones that are on the middle. So you water your vegetables on that space.
Okay.
Then the stones hold water. So you can put a glass of water, but then the
It will
stone will hold
spread
it, and then it will
everywhere.
spread
Ooh,
little by
that's
little.
interesting.
Hence,
For me, I thought it's just because it's in a sack, then they can just put water anyhow.
no.
That's a good science as well. Now, you mentioned measurements. Maybe are there specific, maybe say in 10 kgs, you put so much droppings and ABCD?
Yes.
Because it's one thing to put animal droppings, but you can also overdo it and actually kill the vegetables. What specific measurements do you use when you're making these innovative gardens?
All right. So specifically, we use the ratio of 1:1. If you are using maybe 10 kgs of virgin soil, you are also supposed to use 10 kgs of manure. So we incorporate these two at a ratio of 1:1.
What type of manure are these? Are they organic, inorganic?
These are organic manure,
Okay.
specifically from the local chicken droppings.
Oh, wow. This is coming out to me like more of a holistic kind of approach. Because when we're having that, when we're having the discussion of livestock production, actually, they were talking about how they just use locally available resources to make feed for the chickens. And now you are telling me you just use the droppings from the chickens to make manure for the vegetables. I think that's really a good way to sort of promote nutrition in a way, so a manner that doesn't actually use more resources, like financially.
But you can also use any kind of manure so long it's organic.
Okay.
It could be from animal, cows, even compost, the actual compost. Yeah, we shouldn't be limited to only chicken droppings or goat droppings.
Oh, okay. So who constructs these gardens?
First of all, everyone has to be trained. So earlier on I said we have lead farmers who are on the forefront to sensitize the public on the same. So once everyone is being sensitized, everyone can construct. It doesn't matter you are pregnant, you are not, you are a woman, you are a man, everyone.
Oh, wow, that's
construct.
Nice. That means they're really easy to do.
Yeah.
And as FNSP, we recently in the SPC strategy, we have been encouraging households to attend these sessions together.
Yes.
So you could have a mother who is heavily pregnant, then there is a husband, and they have a teenager of some sort.
Yeah.
So if these family members are all trained, it's easy for this child to support the parents to, construct this garden or even to take care of the garden. So it shouldn't only be the mother or the father, but everyone involved who's in the house.
That's interesting. Yeah, so if you're just joining us, remember you're listening to Over to You podcast. And in today's conversation, we are looking at backyard gardens and specifically how FNSP used this innovation to improve nutrition outcomes for women of reproductive age as well as children under 2 years of age. Today, I'm joined by Dean Chawezi and Witness. These are colleagues working with GIZ in Malawi and Care Malawi under the Food and Nutrition Security Program. Keep listening because there's still so much that we need to uncover on the conversation today. We have been talking about construction.
Yeah.
Have you registered any success so far?
Of course, there are some successes.
Okay.
But we cannot say everyone has adopted the initiative. When you are talking about these things, we are also talking about behavior change.
Yeah.
Something that you can eliminate from your head and put something which is new. So some people are too conservative. They cannot embrace something which is new. But all the same, we have some households that we can take you to Salima and show you how they have progressed in terms of both innovative gardens and also traditional ones. Yes.
So for those that have embraced,
Yeah.
what have you seen as changes? Maybe in both nutrition outcomes, maybe in how they're approaching the whole gardening, maybe the impact that's spilling over maybe to other people in the community. Have you been able to register any such?
Normally, time saving, money saving, because if you have a backyard garden, it means you save some money to go to market and purchase some vegetables. So other groups are testifying that they are saving and they are investing that money in other interventions like VSLs and some small businesses.
And just to add on what Dean said, you mentioned something about spillovers.
Yes.
So we've also had some successes with the spillovers, apart from the beneficiaries that we are working with. But we've been receiving stories from our promoters saying that there are some people in the community that have also adopted the innovation, apart from not being our target beneficiaries. So we have seen that this intervention has really been adopted by a lot of people in the community.
And we conduct regular assessments. We conduct annual assessments. We do activity monitorings, which are done either monthly. Also, through these assessments, we've learned that there's really an improvement in terms of data diversification, as well as even the numbers of spillovers have been increasing time and time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I was asking that because I had a conversation with Mr. Damitoni in Salima, one of the father-to-father members.
Yeah.
And his wife, of course, is expecting, and he had a backyard, a very vibrant backyard garden. And I was asking about the spillovers because I thought of him. He actually was telling us how many people come to learn from his garden. And they're also helping a lot of other people in the community, like who are not necessarily part of the targeted beneficiaries, but basically maybe just seeing that he doesn't need to go buy vegetables anymore. They're also learning from him. And, for me, it was like a first-hand account. That's why I mentioned spillovers. So maybe apart from the nutritional aspect, because we did also see firsthand when we went to the district, what other impacts would you say you've registered within this implementation period of backyard gardens?
There are some people or some households that have surpluses of these vegetable gardens. They are able to sell.
Yeah.
And something is being generated within their households. We cannot only talk about vegetables. Sometimes you need to sometimes
diversify,
buy fish. You buy some eggs. So you cannot barter trade vegetables with eggs. You need some sort of money. So some people are selling the vegetables and buy some foodstuffs.
Yes. Oh, wow, that's an interesting one. You can't be broke, yeah?
And another highlight, we have seen households maximizing their spaces.
Wow.
You have a sack, you have a bucket, and then you have a
Oh,
small
yes,
space.
I did see a bucket. Was it in Dedza?
Yeah,
we saw a bucket. Yeah, true, a broken one.
Yes. So
wow.
you plant your vegetables in the bucket, and then within your small space, you find somewhere to put them.
That's really a good impact, because I think most people would be like, okay, so you're talking about innovative gardens. I don't have a backyard. That would be somebody's excuse. I don't have a backyard. My house is small. Just behind me, there's somebody. But with this, you don't have an excuse, really. You don't have an excuse. You can plant anywhere. And you can move. Even if you want to keep inside your house at night, you can do that. It's really nice. But now looking at challenges, if you could do something differently, what could it be? Like in the way the whole thing was implemented?
For me, I would not change something.
Okay.
But I think timing was the main challenge.
Okay.
We are talking of this project started way back in 2015, 2016. But we've maximized these initiatives or interventions. I think it was...
2023.
2023.
Okay.
Yeah, so had it been, we started way back maybe in 2017, 15, we've had witnessed so much successes, progress, and other things. So I think it's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Maybe for GIZ when you grant us with another.
It's a big video. And one thing that we forgot to mention earlier is that as a project, so we also focus on learning and upscaling.
Okay.
So as Dean has mentioned, it took us time to realize that, okay, we need to learn from the way we've been approaching the backyard gardens. So it's only until last year, 2023, when we had a learning series, which is like we were two years to the end of a project. So timing on the learning on backyard gardens was the issue. So if we were to do better, I think could be yearly or every 2 years, learn from our approach, and then we see how.
You know, what I find really, I would say, interesting or rather admirable about FNSP is that it always looks into its programming and finds areas to improve and actually acts on the improvements. Because when we had the conversation with Chisomo and Felista on the livestock production, they also mentioned that actually at first it wasn't local chickens. It was goats and then pigs. But then they realized, you know, you don't necessarily raise goats for consumption. That's a resilient product. You raise it to sell and have money. It wasn't working. So they had to sit down and say, let's start again. So I think the fact that you mentioned even for this again, I think it's something that anybody who would be listening to this podcast could learn from. It's not always that my indicators say this is what I should achieve, and strictly that. You'll be missing out on a lot. Because if you had to sit down and say, let's have a learning series, it's because we're looking at maybe we could improve on some things. How best do we do that? For me, I think that's the biggest takeaway somebody should learn from this conversation. But how do you see this work sustained? You did mention that you do work with local structures. You did mention that you had a learning series. I know all this is about trying to learn, but I also know that there was also a lot of involvement of other stakeholders and partners in it. How do you leave a legacy of FNSP in innovative gardens?
All right. So when we were doing the learning series last year, we involved stakeholders at the district level, at national level. At community level, we only went there with the trainings. But at the national level, we had a Department of Nutrition. We also had representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture. So these are also the ones that provided these trainings to FNSP as well as the stakeholders at the from the district level. So we have capacitated these structures, and we also have the community structures, as you already mentioned. These are the structures who have embraced the approach that we took in innovative gardens, and we are sure that they will keep on promoting the innovative gardens up until you never know when.
I'm keeping referring to the previous episodes that we recorded. When we had Mr. Lodi Magina, I also asked something similar on sustainability of the district fund intervention. And he said, FNSP gave us tools, you know, it's capacity. So it's not that because they've left, they're going to get away my wisdom. It doesn't happen like that. I'm still going to be capacitated. So I think that's also something else that, for me, something else that maybe somebody else could look at. But also you did mention an issue of stakeholder involvement. It wasn't just you. So you're making sure that a lot of other people are sort of learning this from you. So the other thing that I found to be very valuable from the, you know, stuff that you just shared is the fact that you're involving different stakeholders, different sectors of the political partner who is the government. Did mention about the lead farmers, that's the Ministry of Agriculture. You talked about also having the Ministry of Agriculture people to come and train these people. The Ministry of Agriculture also has people in the community that work for them. I think it's a lot easier for, you know, innovations to be sustained that way, because I'm sure the extension workers will also be talking about them when you leave. I'm also sure that the lead farmers are going to be championing this when you leave. I'm sure that the care groups are going to remember that, you know, we did have, you know, easy nutrition outcomes when we had, you know, this component. So perhaps any other partner who might come to the district would also learn from that and see this is the best way, I think, to do something. I think that's really a good legacy for me, in my opinion. I don't know what somebody would feel, but also the fact that we're able to hold a learning series and involve people, because some people just implement, finish, done, off they go. But you're bringing people to learn and to see and to improve. Those people are coming in getting ideas, but they're not going to be the same at the end of the day. Some might want to implement something similar, maybe just tweak it a bit, but they're still building on the FNSP legacy. So
on sustainability as well, the district also developed their transition roadmaps.
Oh, wow.
So as the project phases out, the government structures will be the ones taking over the activities that are being implemented. So we've been having capacity building sessions should be 2 weeks ago, specifically on innovative gardens in Dedza. We recently had one where the DNCC members are being trained by our implementing partner, Self-Help Africa, so that they can also cascade it down to the communities.
Yeah,
so you can already see that
there's
there is
deliberate steps
Yeah.
to make sure it's sustainable.
Yes.
Oh, that's really good.
And in terms of knowledge management, we are trying to put together all the materials that we've developed over time. And we leave the districts with resources they need to capacitate themselves as well as the communities and the frontline workers on these innovative approaches. So,
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, much as I don't want to disagree with you guys, I think I have a pinch of salt on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember very well my first job interview. International NGOs
Yes.
paying the billions of money in nutrition and other
Interventions,
things.
yes.
But when talk of malnutrition, stunting, and other things, they keep on rising or stagnating. Why do you think is the reason?
That's a question.
Honestly, I struggled to give them the correct answer.
And you heard that question on an interview.
But when I was picked
Yeah.
and gained some experience, I got to know that once projects phase out,
Yeah.
it ends there. Yeah, that's really a challenge. We've done our part. The DEDZA team has done their part. GIZ, as our donor, has done their part. But to some extent, honestly, the government has their own priorities. They do not continue from where we have left. So it's just a concern. Yeah,
but very important point.
It's a very important point.
Yeah, but I don't know. We have to find a better way of presenting it. We don't want to.
This is a learning podcast
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we want people to know, like Martina said, we don't want to sugarcoat things.
Yes.
Because she told me, like, you know what, Zainab, I don't want to sugarcoat the truth.
Yeah.
Because when you sugarcoat things, you're going to miss out on things that are really important. We want people to learn from FNSP, but also to see areas that may be gray that they can improve on. So if maybe a government, maybe leader is listening to this, they might look at that as well to say, I think this is a point.
Yes.
How best can we work to make sure that these investments don't really just go to waste? It's also an important point. Yeah, because as you say, the learning sessions, the transitional series, the trainings, all this is effort to make sure that it doesn't just end with us. But how best does the government pick it up from there? I really like that balance as well of your point, as well as the whole, effort that the project is doing to make sure that this is, working well. So this is where we stop today. And today's conversation, we're looking at backyard gardens, specifically looking at how valuable are local vegetables to the nutrition outcomes of women and children under 2 years of age. That's the whole reason we are on the podcast today. But also we're looking at how FNSP was championing the innovations around backyard gardening. And in today's conversations, I did have Chawezi and Witness, as well as Dean from FNSP, working under GIZ Malawi and CARE. Until the next episode, this one is over to you, and we are hoping that you've learned a thing or two, and also that you've picked a thing or two that you can also help FNSP with, or maybe look at as legacy, or maybe reach out to FNSP colleagues if you want some lessons on how to do backyard gardens. I'm sure they're open to, share some more insight.